Peace to everybody. This is about West Texas gunman called 911 FBI just before massacre, police say. And as you can see, this is the video of it, which I will not play because I never play videos in my articles at all because YouTube is getting to a point where they're taking them down literally. The 36-year-old gunman who killed 7 people in a West Texas shooting rampage called 911 and the FBI after he was fired from his job just hours before the massacre began, police say. So the gunman, he was 36 years old. He was the one who allegedly killed 7 people in a West Texas shooting rampage. He called 911 and the FBI after he was fired from his job. And just hours before the massacre, allegedly. Both Seth Ator and his employer, Johnny Oilfield Services, called 911 right after the firing, Odessa Police Chief Michael Girk said. So there was Seth Ator and his employer, Journey Oilfield Services. They called 911 right after the firing. This is what the Odessa Police Chief Michael was saying. Basically, they were complaining on each other because they had a disagreement over the firing, Girk said at a press conference Monday. So between Seth and his employer, they had a disagreement over the firing. But that doesn't give him the right to go and allegedly kill somebody. I mean, if you have a disagreement, just walk away, but just don't sit there and then take an alleged gun and start shooting everybody. Shortly before being stopped by a Department of Police safety trooper, Ator also called the FBI National Tip Line, but he made no threats of any type of violence, Girk said. So before being stopped by a Department of Public Safety trooper, he called the FBI National Tip Line, but he never made no threats of any type of violence, and this is what Girk is saying. And I do believe this is him, of Seth Ator, who allegedly shot 7 people. Ator had applied to get a gun but failed a background check, a representative for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive said at the Monday press conference. So he applied for an alleged gun, but he failed his background check. So whatever they found, they told him, no, you cannot have it. So this is what a representative for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives said at the Monday press conference. The ATF, the FBI, and the DPS are aggressively following up on the source that supplied the firearm to Ator. So they're following up on this alleged case right now because of what he had done by allegedly killing 7 people. And of course he failed his background check, so there was no way he was allowed to have a gun or whatever. Authorities have repeatedly cautioned that they have yet to establish a motive for the shooting. They say they believe Ator acted alone. So the authorities are still have repeatedly cautioned that they have yet to establish a motive. So we don't know what his motive was. They think that he acted alone. So who knows? Maybe if he did or not. If he did, then they have a reason to have him arrested. But if there's somebody else, then that person is going to be arrested as well. Ator began spraying the roads with bullets after police pulled him over for failing to use his signal. He killed 7 people and wounded 23 others before authorities rammed the hijacked mail truck he was driving and gunned him down. So Ator has really done a lot of damage. He began spraying the roads with bullets. I mean, bullets were flying everywhere on the roads after police pulled him over for failing to use his signal. He killed 7 people allegedly and wounded 23 others. And this is before authorities rammed the hijacked mail truck he was driving. The reason that person was stopped was because of a Midland police officer and an Odessa police officer. They rammed his car, stopped him, and when he got out, they shot him. Odessa Mayor David Turner said. So you got the Midland police and you got the Odessa police officers. They both rammed his car and stopped him, and when he got out, they shot him. And this is what the Odessa Mayor David Turner is saying. The number of injured rose by 1 to 23 Monday. A 70-year-old woman was struck by a shrapnel while in her car and went to a local hospital where she was treated and released, Gerg said. So there was a 70-year-old woman. She was struck while in her car and went to a local hospital where she was treated and released after a while. Ator's call to the FBI before his encounter with the troopers included rambling statements about some of the atrocities that he felt he had gone through, and Christopher Combs, FBI special agent in charge. So Ator's call to the FBI before his encounter with the troopers included rambling statements about some of the atrocities that he felt he had gone through. So he was rambling on about everything. The troopers also stopped Ator for a traffic violation Saturday. Did not know about the calls. So they didn't know anything about the calls Saturday. Those who were killed ranged from 15 to 57 years old, Odessa Police Chief Michael Gerg said, and included Mary Granados, a 29-year-old mail carrier, who was on the phone with her twin sister as she neared the end of her shift. So Granados, who was 29 years old, she was on the phone with her twin sister, allegedly. All the people that were killed allegedly, they were from 15 to 57 years old. Odessa Police Chief Michael Gerg said. And of course, it included Mary Granados. And also killed was Cameron Brown, who worked for Standard Safety and Supply, the company said. The company linked to a GoFundMe page for Brown, which said he was a resident of Brownwood, Texas, and had served in the army in Afghanistan. So he has served in the Afghanistan army. This is what Cameron Brown also has said. He worked for Standard Safety and Supply, the company said. The company linked to a GoFundMe page for Brown, which said he was a resident of Brownwood, Texas. A 17-month-old girl and 3 law enforcement officers were among the injured. And of course, you got a 17-month-old baby in the middle of everything. And of course, never ever bring your child to a shootout, because children are always getting accidentally shot and killed, and then the gunman allegedly gets thrown in jail or killed by the police. The shooter was pulled over by Texas troopers in Midland on Saturday afternoon, police said. He began shooting at officers with what police described as an assault-type weapon and sped away. He continued firing randomly at residents and motorists, police said. So he began shooting at the officers after he was pulled over. It was an alleged assault-type weapon and sped away. And of course, he continued firing randomly at residents and motorists, this the police have said. He then hijacked a postal truck and made his way to Odessa, about 20 miles away. That's where police confronted him in a parking lot and killed him. So he was like 20 miles away from wherever he was at, and of course he hijacked a postal truck, and that was where Granados was in her mail truck alone. So, and of course he hijacked a U.S. postal truck, and allegedly shot her. And of course, here's the screenshot of everything that you need to see here. And of course, the FBI is searching a home believed to be linked to a suspect following a deadly shooting spree on September 1st. A police vehicle rammed the truck carrying the gunman, sending it spinning into a group of cars. Authorities surrounded him, according to bystander video in Midland County District Attorney Laura Nadoff. So the police vehicle did ram the truck, carrying the gunman, sending it spinning into a group of cars. So you got a whole group of cars that he got spinned right into. Authorities did surround him, according to bystander who had video, and Midland County District Attorney Laura Nodoff. Law enforcement at that point had collectively taken efforts to surround him, and he was not going to go anywhere, and he was not going to hurt anybody else, Nodoff said. That is the definition of heroism. When you have people you know are walking into fire and could be hit. See, so the law enforcement at that point had collectively taken efforts to surround him. So you got a whole bunch of police cars that would be surrounding the suspect. And of course, the suspect is not going to go too far. And he was not going to go anywhere, obviously. He was not going to hurt anybody else. And this is what Nodoff said. And I don't know if Nodoff is a woman or a man, so I don't know. And of course, that person said that is the definition of heroism. Investigators are combining through 15 crime scenes and multiple cars. FBI Special Agent in charge Christopher Combs said. So our investigators are combining through the 15 crime scenes, and you know that's a lot of scenes you got to go through just to get everything collected and what and shouldn't not be there or what is there. At this point, federal investigators do not believe there's any connection to any domestic or international terrorism, Combs said. So yeah, so the FBI has at this point do not believe there's any connection or any domestic international terrorism, and this is what Combs is saying. Granado's sister, Rosie, said she heard her sister scream while they were on the phone. So Granado's sister, Rosie, she heard her sister screaming. It was very painful, she said. I just wanted to help her and I couldn't. I thought she had gotten bit by a dog or something. I tried calling her name and she wouldn't answer. So Rosie said that it was very painful and she wanted to help her but she couldn't. She thought her sister got bit by a dog or something, but when her sister tried calling her name, she wouldn't answer. The Ector County Independent School District in Odessa said one of its students was among those killed. The 17-month-old who was injured was airlifted to University Medical Center in Lubbock, where she underwent surgery, and she has since been released and is resting at home, Ector County Sheriff Mike Griffiths said, citing a message he received from the toddler's grandfather. So 17-month-old baby girl, she was airlifted to University Medical Center in Lubbock, where underwent surgery, and she has since been released and is resting at home. So the baby is going to be doing a lot of healing at home instead of the hospital, where the baby's parents will take very good care of her. It's just sad that these children are getting in the line of fire, and they should not be bringing their children out at nighttime. Seriously. And of course, Sheriff Mike Griffiths is citing a message he received from the Tyler's grandfather. So the grandfather must have sent him a message or something. And here is the cute little 17-month-old girl was injured by gunfire on Saturday in Odessa, Texas. I mean, she is adorable, and she's only a baby still. I mean, why would you bring this cute little baby to a gunfire? Seriously. Parents should not bring children out at nighttime. They need to get somebody to babysit their children, or leave them with the grandparents, or place them in a daycare where it's safe. But do not bring your child to a gunfire, because this is what all this alleged shooting does to a baby like her. The girl is expected to make a full recovery, her family said. We hurt so badly for the families whose loved ones didn't survive this tragedy, her parents, Kelby and Garrett Davis, said in a statement. So the parents, for the families, they are hurt so bad, and whose loved ones didn't survive the tragedy. Her parents, Kelby and Garrett Davis, said in a statement. The law enforcement officers wounded were a state trooper, a Midland officer, and an Odessa officer, officials say. The trooper is in serious condition, and the officers are in stable condition. So far, the officers are in stable condition, and of course, the trooper is in serious condition. And of course, and also there's also the state trooper. More than 40 people have died in the 4 shootings in Texas, Ohio, and California since July. It's part of a trend the FBI says is getting worse each year. Yeah, allegedly it is getting worse each year, but you can never tell who's who getting what. And of course, it just comes out of nowhere. And of course, there's more than 40 people, have died in the 4 shootings in Texas, Ohio, and California since July this year. If you look at the numbers, we're looking at an active shooter every week in this country, Combs said. Just so you got this alleged active shooter, and of course they're out looking to kill people allegedly every other week in this country, and this is what Combs is saying. The agency has conducted a study on all active shooters, who they've defined as the individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a populated area between 2000 and 2018, and found the numbers keep increasing. So allegedly, all these numbers are increasing every year of how many people are allegedly killed. And of course, here's the governor. Tyler's victim's mom just texted me this, and I'm not going to play this video at all. I think it is frustrating for all of us in law enforcement that we keep having to do this, he said, referring to ongoing investigators. For the FBI in particular, we do them across the country as as a service to our state and local partners. It's just getting worse. And yeah, allegedly it is getting worse. And he thinks it's frustrating for all of us in law enforcement. And every day the law enforcement, they put their lives on the line for everybody, because everything that's going on. And for the FBI in particular, we do them across the country as a service to our state and local partners as well. The latest shooting took place hours after a series of firearms laws that loosened gun restrictions went into effect in Texas. Included are laws that allow weapons on school grounds, apartments, and places of worship. Now, school grounds, I have to disagree with that, because I would not want anybody to be carrying alleged guns on school grounds. Places of worship like church, no thanks. I disagree with that too. Why would the churches be allowed to have guns? Because, it's not a good place to have them. I'm sorry, I keep coughing. But I would not have no guns on the school grounds or places of worship. It's just not safe there, because kids, they go to school. I'm sorry, get with this coughing. And places of worship like churches, not a good idea either, because the parents do bring kids to churches with them for the Sunday service. And of course, if there's a kids church downstairs or wherever in the church, then that's where they will go too. I have been to too many of these events. Governor Greg Abbott said, "I am heartbroken by the crying of the people in the state of Texas. I am tired of the dying of the people of Texas. Too many Texans are in mourning. Too many Texans have lost their lives. The status quo in Texas is unacceptable and action is needed." So Governor Greg Abbott said he's tired of all these shootings and that. He says, "I am heartbroken by the crying of the people in the state of Texas." And of course, he has been to too many of these events. He's also said he's tired of the dying of the people of Texas. Too many Texans are in mourning. Too many Texans have lost their lives. The status quo in Texas is unacceptable and action is needed. So, allegedly, they say they're going to take action, but nothing really is done about it, really, because the politicians and that, they just let everything let everybody get away with everything. And of course, the politicians, when they want gun stricter laws, that means they want to take your guns away from you. They don't want you to defend yourself. So once you turn over your guns, that's it. You're not going to be protected at all. You're going to have to find another way to protect yourself, because these stricter gun laws are just plain outrageous and ridiculous of what these politicians are doing. And literally, I do not trust the politicians at all, because they're a bunch of liars. And you should never believe anything what they say, because they're going to keep lying and lying and lying about everything. Leave your comments below. I am out.